All right, we're good. We're recording. Give me a mic check real quick.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
All right. The Final Fantasy VII Remake review spoiler show. If you haven't finished the game, if you don't want the game to be spoiled, tune out. Check out our mini first impressions from last week's No Life episode. I mean, we covered this game for the past almost month now. You remember, like, there was a point in time where we didn't even know that this game was quite on its way on the PS4. For the most part, people thought it was a dead project. Wasn't that the case at one point?
Well, the original development was not in-house. Square Enix had contracted CyberConnect 2. They received that work a while later and were very, very unsatisfied with where it was.
Yeah.
So they cut CyberConnect 2 completely out of the picture and then brought it all in-house, almost having to pretty much redo everything. So that delayed development pretty heavily. And then from there, development kept going.
I mean, when was the first time that we heard that it was on its way and it was set for a release date? Was it like a year ago or 2 years ago? It wasn't that long ago.
So the timeline goes, if we want to go all the way back, PS3 tech demo. It was just a tech demo. It was the intro to Final Fantasy VII, the train, that intro sequence. It was to show the power of the PS3. That kind of got people rumbling that wanted to see Final Fantasy VII brought back. They wanted it remade. You flash forward a couple years later I think around 2014, there's this presentation and they're like, fans of Final Fantasy VII, we've got something special for you. And people were like, wait. And then they're like, we're bringing the PC version to PS4. Nobody wanted that. A lot of people were disappointed. And then it was E3 2015 where we got that trailer.
I did play the first one. I enjoyed it, but this was years ago. I mean, we're talking decades ago.
Yeah, I mean, I played it in 97 when I was a kid. And
have you ever revisited it?
I've revisited it a couple times, yeah. I mean, I've revisited every Final Fantasy a couple times. I appreciate 7. I still think it's one of the better Final Fantasy games from that era.
Nostalgia for it either, really.
But I don't have this hardcore rose-tinted glasses nostalgia that goes, this is a perfect game. It's far from perfect.
Yeah, I was a little bit more nostalgic for Final Fantasy X. So I never really had that connection with Final Fantasy VII. And then we hear this game's coming out. One of the things I hated about Final Fantasy VII and most JRPGs is turn-based, random encounters. I just never thought that was fun. So I was kind of had all of these preconceived notions when this came out. It wasn't until the demo that was released that we got where I was like, oh, this is going to be actually right up my alley. Upon getting the game, I mean, this game was easily one of my favorites on PS4. I think this is one of the best games on PS4. It's up there with God of War, Uncharted, Spider-Man. I mean, it's up there.
I would argue the last year and a half of, maybe even 2 years of the PlayStation.
We're not even done. We still have a couple more games left.
Yeah, and there's a couple more games, but this has been the strongest games near the end of its life cycle, but the strongest games it's offered.
And I mean, like better than any games we've had before. Like this, in my opinion, is the best Final Fantasy that I've played. What I do want to jump into first is, now that you finished the game, you had some time to think about it. I just got done with it. I want to know your final score. Like what do you rank it? What is your final you don't have to give it a score, but like what is your final say on the game and the time that you had with it and the zeitgeist that it's in, the impact that it's had on PlayStation, just as a whole? What do you think of the game?
Originally, after I finished it, I would have put it at about 9.5, but I'm going to lower that by a little. I'm going to put it at about a 9.25. I don't think it's a perfect game.
Me either.
But it definitely is the best Final Fantasy I've played in a long time. So for me, like, the last great Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
This is better than Final Fantasy X, in my opinion.
I think
it's definitely better than the original. They took Final Fantasy VII, they took Midgar. They took a 6-hour section of the game that is essentially the prologue. It made it its own story with new characters, with expanded characters. They made all of it fun. That was the big thing for me. Is this game is fun to play. The battle system is this interesting marriage of turn-based and somewhat kind of action. And I'm not unfamiliar to the action RPG. Like, whether it be Nier Automata that Square's done before with Platinum, or Nomura alone with Kingdom Hearts series. And this game's battle system is 1,000 times better than Kingdom Hearts, which is way too floaty. But they took a lot of the good stuff from Kingdom Hearts, the shortcuts, things like that, and they were able to put it into this system while also having a system in place that appeases that turn-based nostalgia that I have. I am a turn-based nostalgia person. I prefer my RPGs turn-based. Persona, Dragon Quest, even those games that are coming out now still have turn-based combat. This game is the perfect marriage. Like, if I had to base this game alone on its combat system, it gets a 10. I know some people have struggled a little bit with the combat system. Some people
I don't know how you could.
Dying to a lot of fights. I didn't game over at all in my playthrough.
Yeah, I find that.
I don't
like you're
know
lying
what
about
happened, but I also believe that I was able to grasp the combat system very quickly. And for me, the combat system rewards you from switching characters. If it does not want you to stay on any character for too long. You want to be constantly switching your characters.
Yeah. And
then as far as story goes, I mean, we'll get to the big ending. But Wall Market was Wall Market might be one of my favorite parts of the game. The Wall Market section is just so well done.
Yeah.
It almost feels like Yakuza. Yeah, I mean, Cloud is they did a great job with Cloud. The voice actors are really good. Aerith, it has so much more personality than she does in the original game. Everybody has much more personality than they did in the original game. The treatment of Barrett alone.
Not all you got! Someone's ready. Take your best shot, asshole!
He's kind of this loud-mouthed caricature. And then in this game, you really see the development. You see some of the fears he has. You get to see the character. You've got these classic battles that are expanded upon. Oh, God, the Hell House fight. Is probably the most hated fight in the game. I mean, I was able to beat. I didn't die to it, but that was one of the fights that was like I came close to game over. And
see, I didn't have too much of a problem with that one. I had more of a problem with some of the gimmickier fights because I didn't look up anything like the caged the dog one was the one that pissed me off the most. That one I died like 6 times in the span of 5 minutes. I was just like,
I know some people have died to the Whisper fight with the Bahamut Whisper. That was a close one as well. I hated the Rufus fight actually, because you assess him and it just says there's a certain move that works. It doesn't tell you what it is. Him and his dog were having some kind of astral chain moment.
I like a lot of the one-on-ones. I love the Sephiroth at the end. I loved all the one-on-ones. I thought those were really fun. I do want to say though, I agree. I think I'd give it a 9.5. The only downsides that I have are technical downsides. I think the game is really well done across the board in terms of story, in terms of pacing, in terms of character development, in terms of combat, gameplay. You know what? I'm gonna go down to your score as well, 9.25, because I do have some issues with the technical aspects of it. And a little bit of like just how the maps are laid out and it's very on rails almost. But other than that, I think everything was done so well. It's been a while since I've had a game where I was just like, I have to figure out what's going on next. I need to know what's kind of changes they made, what these people are going to get into, how these characters are going to develop. I was just so addicted to it. For me, there's specifically one moment of pacing that I wish was a little different. Yes, and I agree on that point too.
And that is the end of essentially near the end of chapter 14 and then all of chapter 15. But that entire sewer section felt dragged out, and then by the end of that, and then I realized that the climb up to Shinra HQ is going to take a while, and I'm just like,
It does.
kind of just want to be at Shinra HQ now.
Oh no, I've completely lost track of time.
And you're making this a little too long to get there.
I just didn't really like so much the way they did the sewers, like with the backtracking. I wasn't the biggest fan of that because it does feel like a little bit of filler there. It did feel like a little bit of filler. I wasn't
like
and my next one was the second to last chapter. It felt like you were just like, and then this, 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 and I was just like, Jesus Christ, when are we gonna actually get?
See, I liked chapter 16 a lot though, like in Shinra HQ, and I was really interested to see what they were going to do to change that.
It was cool to see all that stuff, but it
like
was a
the
point I was
mayor,
just like, Jesus Christ.
finding out the mayor is actually an avalanche agent. That actually got a laugh out of me. And then I love having the option, even though there's only 5 weapons for each character, really being able to kind of spec your weapons and really choosing which weapon you want. And it's not your old JRPG trope of, well, I got the next best sword. Goodbye Buster Sword forever.
I wish there was more weapons. I wish they gave us a shitload of weapons because I like that loot aspect of American Western ARPGs. Yeah, you're not doing like multi-spec builds in this game. You can do builds, but you're not gonna. It's not like a Diablo style game.
7 exchanged the. Here's a bunch of equipment for your real equipment is going to be your materia. They added a lot new materia and they reworked some old materia, and the materia also levels up very quickly, it seems, because like in the original game you're really only, by the end maybe you're running fire, like the second Fyra, and then by the end of this game you're running Kiraga, Thundaga, Blizzaga.
So let's talk about some of the things we didn't like. I do want to get into first the technical aspects of it. Again, we said this in the first impression sort of thing. The texture pop-in to me was just really bad, and I did not enjoy it. And I do have it on PS4 Pro and the base PS4. It is worse on the PS4 than it is on PS4 Pro.
Got new numbers for Monster Slain this month. Check them out.
Though the ceasefire was declared 5 years ago,
You scared me.
But to me, it was almost laughable at how they were able to ship a game in this state, and it's still not patched. We're weeks after its release, so I'm assuming that's just how it was developed at this point.
I never noticed it when playing the game, but I don't have the eye for that.
There was a scene towards the end where the helicopter comes to save, and then it zooms in on the Shinra logo, and the Shinra logo did not pop in. It was just this blurry mess, and I'm just like, come on. Like, these are things you're zooming into. At least have this texture pop in. I don't need the texture of the lightning bolt 50 miles away to look sharp, because the game looks amazing, and most of the time it's like 10 out of 10 beautiful graphics. But that's the point. That's the reason why these texture issues are so apparent. It's because the rest of the game looks good. You'll run in, you'll see a wall that looks amazing with all this tessellation on it and the correct shadows. But then one section of the wall will just be low poly res, and you're just like, what is going on here? And I hated it. It kept bothering me. But that I have to knock points off.
I've noticed it now when I watch other people play the game, or I start seeing footage. When I'm not actively playing the game, my eyes start to wander and analyze everything.
Another thing that I didn't like was how a lot of the game is on rails almost, where it's just like you have to go down this path, you have to do this. Before you start to move into the end of the game, they give you an option to do all the rest of these quests, and then you basically the whole world opens up, and then it's just like, all right, let's go here and do this quest. I thought that was so awesome. I thought that was so fun. And I wish that they kind of did most of the game that way, rather than these little kind of hub worlds for most of the game. Then finally they open it up and they say, okay, now do your quests and find out more about these characters and, you know, go explore and find all the hidden materia and stuff. I thought that was awesome. Like, I loved looking for all Don Corneo's secret stashes and, you know, going throughout all these towns and running through them. I wish it was more open like that through more of the game, because the on-rail stuff, I mean, it's fine, but I just wish it was more open.
And I'm going to argue that it's kind of the limitation of what you have when you're remaking what is essentially the prologue.
But they kind of do it when they open up the game, you know. When they open up that section for quests, I wish that I could do that whenever. I wish that it was more done that way. That way I can do my own sort of exploring. If I wanted to go out and just kind of level up a little bit, then I could do that. They don't really give you that option until that part of the game, and then that's it. And then after that, you get in again to these locked sort of on rail sections, you know.
Yeah, and it's a limitation of that of RPGs.
No, I'd say just Final
better
Fantasy.
than others.
I say just mostly mostly JRPGs, because Persona is like that.
No, it's absolutely a JRPG thing.
Yeah, Persona's like that as well. Where Western RPGs, they're a lot more open.
Persona's like rail system makes sense because it's a sim game, so you expect it to be on rails, because that's. But
like, imagine Persona when you have to go through the city and it's an actual city, like a Yakuza style city almost. Like, that's kind of the openness that I need, that I would like, you know, that I think would serve the game better without getting in the way of the story. Just allow me to kind of stumble upon these areas, rather than just saying, this path goes to the healer, this path goes to this person. Because Wall Market is beautiful and it's awesome, and there are little like secret areas, but you'll notice when you play it, it's very sort of on rails. It's very maze like there's just areas you just can't go into. You can't just go around the block and get lost. It's just like, here's where you go to the inn, here's where you go to Corneo's place. And I wish that they kind of left that a little bit more open. Let's get into the story. We'll get into this. Is basically the last part of this is the story, and the way the story was done and the changes they made and everything.
This is not a remake.
No.
It's not. At the end of the day, the term remake should not apply to this. This is a sequel to Advent Children. So Advent Children's plotline is, it's like set after Final Fantasy VII. There's this disease called geostigma that's affecting children. It's affecting Cloud. The boss fight against the Whispers in chapter 18. It's right before you fight Sephiroth. You fight the Whispers, and they summon Bahamut. But so everyone was kind of like, oh, this one uses a sword, this one uses a gun, this one uses his fists. Well, they're obviously the future versions of Tifa, Barrett, and Cloud. But that's wrong. The 3 clone versions of Sephiroth in Advent Children use a blunt sword, fists, and a gun. And in Advent Children, when the party fights them in this big animated scene, they summon Bahamut, like how these 3 summon Whisper Bahamut. It's a direct reference to Advent Children. The Sephiroth that's in this game is Advent Children Sephiroth. It's the Sephiroth from the future using the planet spiritually through the life stream to try to change the past. A lot of the signs point to the fact that this is a sequel to Advent Children. This is what happens to Sephiroth
and
after Advent Children. And the characters
do look the same. Like, the Cloud from Advent Children does look like the Cloud in this one. The Sephiroth does look the same. At the end of the game, where you have Zack and he's coming from that battle, and then they kind of cross paths with Cloud and Tifa and them, it kind of poses the question of the alternate reality sort of situation, the parallel universe situation. Supposedly Aerith is sort of involved in it because she is an ancient, so she knows about this. It is very Kingdom Hearts.
So and that's a lot of people are afraid of Nomura Kingdom Heartsing this.
It can certainly get that way very easily where we're there now.
It can work well in telling new stories, and what I'll say my hopes are that The ending with Zack being alive was just a fan. I just hope it was fan service to the fans of Zack from Crisis Core, who were like, "Why can't Zack have a happy ending?" Well, we've shown that there is a universe in which he does have a happy ending, where he does survive. And then they show that picture of Stamp the dog. It's a different breed. I'm telling you right now, when I play Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, the first thing I'm looking for is that damn dog. Because I need to know what universe we're in. When they walk through that portal, did they enter that new universe? Did they leave their universe? Where did they go?
Are they in like the multiverse at this point?
Who the hell knows? And it's a fear of the unknown, and I can totally understand that. Personally, I don't have the nostalgia, and I'm sitting here going, you know what, Nomura? Take me on your wild ride. As long as it's fun and as long as it's interesting, I'm willing to go with you. The way that Sephiroth taunts, like the way that he taunts Cloud at the end too, like throughout the game pretty much. And we think, oh, it's because Cloud was, failed at Nibelheim and Cloud, has all these issues. It makes more sense when it's future Sephiroth doing it from Advent Children, who's seen everything and is still getting into Cloud's head. And that's the thing is like, we don't know. When they walk through that portal, we don't know if they've just simply walked to fight the Arbiters or if they actually teleported to another universe.
I think they were in like the multiverse. That's what.
And if they did teleport to a new universe, that begs the question: are there two Clouds?
I don't know if there was a new universe.
Are there two Tifas? Are we gonna have a me and my doppelganger moment where Cloud and Cloud get together and fight? It's multiverse theory is a bitch, man.
It's gonna get stupid.
Multiverse theory.
It always gets stupid, but it didn't get stupid in devs.
Like I said, first thing I'm looking for is a picture of that damn dog.
All right, Dewey's looking for the dog. We made our predictions. We have our review 9.25 for the both of us. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect. Is it as good as Witcher 3? Not even close, but it was a good try by Square Enix. Like I said, I'm not excited for the future of this franchise. I'm satisfied at the way it is right now. Whatever comes next is just a cherry on top. I thought this was really well done. It was a nice send-off of the PS4 console. I'm ready to go next gen. I'm ready to get rid of all texture issues. Never want to see another texture issue in my life. I am excited to see all the theories and all the hype that's going to come from part 2. Let's hope that it comes sooner than later, because if it comes too late, I think that's going to spell trouble for the Final Fantasy VII franchise. The franchise on the game that is one of a franchise.
I'm happy. It was worth the wait.
That's it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe for more reviews. I think this is fun. I think this is a fun way to do reviews. We should do more like this. So so that's it, guys. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.